Hey guys, Omerko here, self-taught web developer. As you can see, judging by the title of this video, we will create another Angular project. This time we will create search engine. Well, to be honest, it won't be the search engine itself, but we will use WebSearchAPI to surf the web. The API that we will use today is called USearch or WebSearch API. On their own website, go into products and then search API, and here you will see the example of a project that we will build today. You will also find this Get Started with Rapid API button, so just click on it and this will redirect you to WebSearch API on Rapid API dashboard. Important thing is that you should create your own profile on Rapid API. So create account here and that way you will get your own secret key or an API key. Here on the right side we will see the example of a request. It will be a method of get. We will have the URL here. We could send some additional parameters, params to a web search API, and this is important bit. We should send headers like our API key and also host header as well. So if I click now on test endpoint here on Rapid API, we will see the responses here. So now these responses are for trending news. On the left side here you can see this trending news. If we would go to web search, this is the API that we will use today. So here we can see that we are searching for Taylor Swift. If we test this endpoint, this web search endpoint, we will get different responses. We can see that there is more than 2000 results for Taylor Swift with this API, and here we will see, for example, some of those results. We can see the URL, description, title, and much more. So going into the application that we will create today, you will see the logo of the web search API, the USearch. We will have the input field for our search term and also a search icon. We can see the results for Kanye West here specifically, and we will have all those results that we just surfed. So if I click on one of these, for example this Reddit page, it should redirect me to that Reddit page as well. So now we are ready to start with our project. First of all, let's generate our Angular project here. I will run command of ng-new to generate the project, and I will name my project search engine. And Angular CLI will ask us a couple of questions like, do we wish to use strict types here? Let's say yes. Do we wish to use routing? I will say no to this because we will have only one page. And which style sheet format we like to use, would like to use. I would like to use CSS format. Now Angular CLI will create the project for me. So once the project is created, I will clear my terminal, and here I will use cd search engine to go into my project. Also, now that I created my project, I will install some dependencies. So npm install, I will install Bootstrap and font awesome. So now once this is finished, we will see that we do have font awesome installed and also Bootstrap 5.1. We will use the latest version of Bootstrap. Also, this version of Bootstrap doesn't need to use jQuery at all. But one thing that we must make sure now. First of all, go into your project in your Visual Studio Code and go into angular.json file. Here we must import our dependencies. So go into node modules and find Bootstrap as a module right here. And here it is. So Bootstrap, then go into this dist folder and CSS, and here we should have the file for bootstrap.min.css. This file should be imported into this styles array. So comma after my styles, and I will use node modules /bootstrap /dist /css, and now /bootstrap.min.css. Similar file should be imported into our scripts here, but now it won't be CSS, it will be dist /js folder and /bootstrap.min.js file. And same goes for our font awesome. Let's find font awesome on the left side here in the node modules. So font awesome should be somewhere here. Here it is. Go into CSS of it and just import font awesome.min.css file. So here, after my bootstrap, I will import my font awesome icons. So node modules / font awesome / CSS and / font awesome.min.css, and that is good enough. Now that we did that, we are ready to start our project. So I will run ng serve --open. This flag of open will make sure to automatically open our project on our local host on our preferred browser. So once everything is finished, we will see our search engine project opened on our local host 4200. This code that you see is just default code from Angular itself. So go back into your project in your Visual Studio Code. Let's close all of these and go into source, app, and then app.component.html. All of that content is coming from this component, and we don't need this component at all. Well, we don't need the content of this component. What I do wish here is just to add a title as a h1. I will say hello world, and let's add one icon here. So em for an icon, and I will use class of fa heart as an example. If you would go now to your browser, you will see this hello world and also an icon. We can see that hello world will use specific font family from Bootstrap, and we are seeing our icons, which means that also we correctly imported our icons. As we will have one page to render our content, I will name that page as a home page. So in my terminal on the left side, I still keep my local host running, but on the right side, I can use this terminal to generate some components that we need. So for example, that home component. So I will run command of ng for generate, c for component, and I will generate my component into pages / home as a home page. Once that is finished, in my Visual Studio Code, I will have this pages folder with my home component inside. What I do wish now is to render the content from my home component into this app main component of Bootstrap. The content itself currently is just home works. So here I will need to use the selector of my home component. If you wish to find selector, go into your home.component.ts file, and here in decorator of component you will see this selector, which is app home. So copy that, go into your app.component and remove this content for now, and use this app home here to link your home component into the app component. Now in your browser on your local host you should see this home works, which means that our home component is correctly linked to our app component. Next to my home component, inside of it as a content, I wish to have that search part and also the results part. So I will create those two as separate components. To do that, I will use ng component again, and I will generate those into components. Well, let's not go into components, but we will go into pages, then / home as a page and / components. So these are components specifically to our home page, and I will generate my first component, which will be search. So now wait a bit, and once this is generated, I will repeat the same thing, but now for results component as well. So now in our Visual Studio Code, go into home itself. Let me also go view here, appearance, and zoom in, so you could see it a bit zoomed in. Maybe it will be easier for you to see this. And in your home component, as I mentioned, we should use our search and results components. So here I will first of all create the div with the class of wrapper to wrap my components here, and first component that I wish to use is app search. And also after this app search, down there I will use app results as a component. So now in our browser we do have this search works and result works, which means that these two components are correctly in our home component, which is correctly in our app component itself. Now it is time to create the specific markup of each of our components. So first of all, I will go into my search component HTML file. So let me close all of these and open just that HTML file. So let's code our search component content here. First of all, I will have some container. This container comes obviously from a Bootstrap. You should know that as we installed the Bootstrap dependency, we will extensively use Bootstrap in this project. Then I will use a row again from Bootstrap, and I will use col md of 2 here. These two columns will be used just to render my logo, and for that logo go into img. So first of all, regarding this img, in my assets folder of this project I will create another folder for img, and in it I will drag and drop my image itself, which is the USearch image, well, the logo of it. So now inside of my img here I can use like source to be .. Let's find that assets folder. Here it is, then img, and my images, well, which is the U image itself. For the alt name I will leave it as an empty for now. Let me also break this down into multiple lines so we could read it more clearer. After my column which should render my logo, I will create another column which will be col md of 10, and here I will create my input group. So input group as a class from Bootstrap. This input group should well render my input field and the button as a one element. So here, first of all, let's create the input field. Type is a text, that's okay. Class could be form control, which is Bootstrap class. I will use also placeholder here, which will just say search ... and that's pretty much it. So here I will break this type class placeholder so we could see it more clearer. And after this input field, well, yeah, directly after the input field, I will create the div called input group append. So let me use this properly, group append. And here we will append the button to this input group. So button itself will be the type of a button, and it will have few classes. The class itself will be btn, and btn outline secondary class. So let me break this down a bit as well. Type and class. And here the content for my button itself, well, we won't have the content at all. We won't have any text. We will have some kind of icon. So em for an icon, use class, and I will use icon of fa for font awesome and fa search for that kind of search icon. Now in my browser we do have our logo on left side, our search field, and our search button. So let's style this now. To style my search component, I will go into search component CSS file, and first of all I will style the image itself, that logo. So width of it will be 50 pixels. So to make it smaller, I will display it as a block, and I will put the margin on it to be 0 auto. Now let's move myself into input group, so target input group by its class, and I will use margin top to be 10 pixels just to move that a bit down. Then I will use input group and input itself inside, which will hold border on the right side where it is border right to be none. So we won't have border on the right side because we have that button on the right side. Then I will use input group again, and this time button to style that one. Border radius can be 0 pixel. Border on the left side can be 0 pixel, and border color can be, for example, CE D4DA, a bit grayish color. Also, I will now go into my home component where I do have this wrapper, and let's style that wrapper now. So for the wrapper itself, I will target it with the class of wrapper, and I will set the width of it to be 700 pixel and margin to be 50 pixel top and bottom, auto for left and right, so it could be in the center of our screen. So now by this we do have this logo and our search field and search button as well. Now let's work on our results here. So for my results, I will close all of these here, and I will go into results folder and open up just the HTML to first create the markup for our component. So here I will create the content of, well, class of results, the div with the class of results, which will hold all of our results inside. First of all, we will have some kind of count, like 1345 results here, and after this count we will have, well, each specific result. So here I will just use the class of result to create that result itself. So each specific result will hold the title, the icon, well, also the URL and the description. So first of all, for a title, as the title should be clickable, I will wrap that in an anchor tag. Anchor tag itself will hold a class of a title, so we could target it later to, well, basically style it, and also target itself will be underscore blank to open up the new tab when we click on it. Here now I will use h4 for a title, and h4 will render the icon if the, well, if our web page is a safe page, and also the title itself. So here to render the icon I will use em, and I will use icon of fa check circle, and after this icon I will use, well, let's some kind of title, and I will use title example here. This will change later when we pull our data from the API. After this anchor tag, after this title, I will put some kind of URL here. Again, use the anchor tag. href will lead us just to this page currently. Class will be URL, so we could style it, and target once again underscore blank. The URL itself will say https://www.omerco.com, which is my official website. And add a paragraph down below for some kind of description. I will use lorem ipsum as a description. Let me go into view and word wrap here so you could see all the content from lorem ipsum. And this will be one of the results for our, well, web search. Let's copy this 2, 3, 4 times, for example, so we could see something on our screen. Now let's go into results, component CSS to style this. So how do I wish to style this? I will first of all target my results as a whole component. I will use margin on top 50 pixels to move those from the input field at the top. Then I will use result to style each specific result. I will use margin top again. Well, let's use margin bottom here to 30 pixels to move those between. Then I will target my result and title class inside, which is our anchor tag. I will use a color of 1A24AB. After this color, I will set the margin on this to be 0 pixel and text decoration to be none, so we don't have that underline which anchor tag usually has. Then I will target my result and FA for an font awesome icon. I will make this icon a bit larger with font size of 16 pixel, and color of an icon should be a green one because it indicates that the website is safe. So here 0CB754 as a green color. After this icon I will again target my result and URL here, and this here will be color of 3A. Text decoration can be none. And finally we will target our result and paragraph, which is our description. Just change the color of it to be 848382. Now if you would go to your browser, you will see your, well, search component and also your results, which looks quite good, to be honest. So right now what we should do is, well, prepare everything for our rapid API to pull the data from it. So first of all, let's grab our search term from this search input field. To do such a thing, go into your source app and then into this search component, go into TypeScript file of it. Inside, make sure to create search term as a property and set it equal to an empty string. Here also you can see some kind of warnings, but you can avoid those. It is because I'm using this SonarLint extension, which is quite strict, but it is also not important for us here. Also here, what I wish to have is a method called search web, and this method itself will return, well, void here, it won't return anything. I will just console log inside my search term, and I will console log, well, this dot search term, and that's good enough. This search term will be bind to our input field here. So inside I will use something called ng model. ng model is used in Angular to bind properties, well, to two-way data bind our properties, which means that this input field will also render data from the search term, but also it will send data to that search term. Currently you can see there is an error because the engine model is not known property at all. To fix that, go into your app module TS. Here we do all the setup for our application, and just in imports array, import forms module. This forms module will also import the ng model now, and we are ready to use it. Also now we have our search web method. Let's copy it and use it in our button. I will use click event here, and once we click our button we wish to dispatch this search web method. To test this out, I will inspect my element inside of my browser, go into console, and let's search here for FIFA 2020. Well, 2021 as it is this year. So now hit this search button and we will see our search term is FIFA 2021. So we successfully gathered the data, well, the value of our search term. Now the important thing here is that we get our API key from Rapid API. So inside of these headers you will have this API key. Make sure to copy it. And now let's go into our environments of our project. So app environments environment.ts file. Inside of this here, after our production, use comma and use Rapid API key and set it equal to our API key that we just copied over. And we will use this key to dispatch our requests. Talking about those requests, let me clear this up. We will send the requests from our service, as it should be done like that, because the service is a point which will hold our data and share our data, as it is an injectable class in Angular. So here, let's generate our service with ng g and then s for service, and I will generate the service called, well, services / search. We are generating our search service here. Now in your Visual Studio Code, go into your services and search service itself here. Inside here, because we will dispatch requests from this service, we wish to get that API key into this service. So at the top I will import environment from source / environment. Now that I have this environment here, down below I will create a property called API key and set it equal to my environment.rapid API key. So now we do have our API key in our service. If we wish again to dispatch those requests, we will use this HTTP module, which is already well integrated in Angular. To use it, go once again into app module to set up that. So here in our imports we will import something called HTTP client module, which will come from @angular /common /HTTP folder. That's it. Now make sure to use this HTTP client module in imports down below. Now go to your service and in your constructor set your private HTTP property, which will be the type of HTTP client which we just imported in our app module itself. And now we are ready to create our method to get the results. So after our constructor here, I will use getResults method. This getResults method will get some kind of search term. Well, that search term from our input field. So search term here, which will be the type of a string, and this here will for now return any, but just so you know, as we will use this HTTP here, it won't return the any type, but it will return the observable of some kind of data. So yeah, we can use here observable, and we need to pass generic type. I will use any as generic type here. So now let's return here, and we will return from this .http. This .http will have this kind of a method called getOnIt to dispatch GET request, and here inside we should pass the URL to that GET request. Go into your Rapid API and just copy, well, go first of all into this WebSearchAPI and copy this WebSearchAPI URL here. In your code now, make sure to paste this as well. So inside here, we should now also use our params. So for example here, I will use question mark for my first param, which will be Q for a search, and I will pass my, well, search term here. So it must be dynamic. Then we can use page number to set a bit of pagination here. We will return first page, and page size we will return here, for example, 10 entries, so 10 results per page obviously, and I will set this auto correct to true, and by this the USearch API will auto correct our, well, search results. Now this get method next to the URL here, let me break this into another line. Next to this URL, use comma at the end, and you are ready to pass the object here. This object stands for our headers. Well, not the object, but inside of the object we can pass these headers. And as you know, we have that API key that we should pass. The header name itself is x-rapid API-key, and you should pass your own key. As you know, we already have this API key, so use just this .API key, and by this header here, the Rapid API will be able to validate your calls to it. And this is the whole method for our results, to get your results in a service. And where do we wish to get those? Well, we must send request to this method from our search component. So let's go into our pages, components here, search, and let's go into search component TypeScript file now. First of all, let's import our search service inside of our search component. So we will do that in our constructor. I will set property, well, private property of search service. I will set it to be the type of search service, which should be imported at the top here. So save now. And now, first of all, we will dispatch this method from this search web. So remove this console log. First thing that we should do is check if our search term is empty. If that is the case, we won't call our get method. So if this .search term is equal to an empty string, we will just return here. And now we can dispatch our method. To dispatch the method, I will use this .search service, and then I will have this get results method on it. This get results method expects some search term, so just use your this .search term, which is two-way data bind with that ng model, and as this returns the observable from HTTP module, we are able to subscribe to it. This subscribe will return the response to us, so response here, which will be the type of empty. You can specify this type with correct model later if you wish to, but for the sake of this tutorial, we won't do that. So this response, for now, I will just console.log data dash, and I will console the entire response for now. Also here, we won't just get the response, but we will also get an error as well. So here, I will use error property, set the type of any, and if the error happens, I will just console log that error occurred, and I will log the error itself so we could see it. So in our browser right now, this search component, let's search for Kanye, click this search button, let's wait a bit, and here is our data. We have, well, total count of this data more than 2000. We have the values for 10 entries because by pagination we asked just for 10 of those. So here we have this like a title of the website, we have the URL to a website, we have a description, is safe flag to check if the website is safe as well. So this is the data that we are getting from, well, WebSearchAPI. The next bit is to, well, basically grab this data and pass it from this component, from our search component, into our results component where we will render it. And we will do that with one more RxJS feature called subject. So we will use subject in our search service. As you know, I already mentioned this, service in itself in Angular is used to share data. So this is perfect place to use our subject. So here I will create the property of search results, and I will set it equal to new subject, and this subject should be imported from RxJS as observable was. Let's call this subject here because, well, it should be called, as it can have multiple methods on it. For example, down below after my get results, I will create another method called pass results here. And this here will be a method which won't return anything, so it will be a void. And here we will use this dot search results, our subject, and on it we will have this next method, which is a method to pass the next value to it. And here I will just pass results, which should we pass already to this pass results here. And these results can be the type of any, for example. So basically we will dispatch this method once we, well, search for our results. Once we get those results, we will pass those results here, and we will get those results in our results component. To get those results, we will create another method here called get passed results. And this get passed results will return observable to us, which will be the type, well, hold the any generic type. So here use return, and we will return our this dot search results dot as observable. We are returning these as an observable back to us. So first of all, let's pass our results from our search component. So go to your search component TS file, and once you get the data here, this response, remove this console log and use again this dot search service dot pass results, and we will pass these results as an object here. We wish to pass our results, which will be our response dot value property, and we wish to pass the count of our results because the total count of our results is not in a value itself, it is on a response dot total count. And we need that total count because we wish to show total count of all results. So by this we are passing results, once we get those, into our search service. So now we are ready to get those results into our results component. So go into your results component, so results component TS file, and in here let's first of all import our search service. So private property of search service should be the type of our, well, not component, sorry, search service itself, which should be imported, well, automatically reported with Visual Studio Code. So where do we wish to get those results? Where we wish to get those results once we load our page, if that happens, or whenever we are, well, searching for it. Because we are using the subject itself here, whenever we pass results, whenever is this contacted, and it will be always contacted when we dispatch and get the response from our web API search, WebSearchAPI, yeah? Whenever this happens, our subject itself will be also emitted, and we will get the data back. So we need to subscribe in our results component. So in ng-on-init, I will use this dot search service, and I will subscribe to get past results. So here I will use subscribe itself, and this subscribe will return a response to me with the type of any, and this response itself will hold some data. Well, we already know which data it will be, our, well, results and also our count, because we are passing those as an object. So this response is that object itself. So let's create here first of all properties for our results, which will be the type of any array, and it will be initially set to just the empty array, and we will have our count, which will initially be set to a 0 because we won't hold any results. So here inside of our response I will use this dot results to be equal to response dot results, And for our count, this dot count equal response dot count. Well, let's use proper response here, and that's good enough. Also, after our response, we are able also to get some kind of error here. I will set that to a type of any, and I will here just console.log error occurred, and I will log the error itself so we could see what kind of error we do have. Also now in our response here, let's console.log our results and count. So I will console log this.results and this.count here. And let's test this now. In my search, I will again search for Kanye, search, and what do we have? Well, we have our results and count, which is from our results component. So that means that we correctly passed our data from our search component to results component by using the subject. Here are our 10 results and also the count, which is more than 2000 here. So now go back to your results component, but this time into the HTML of it. So now in our results component, first thing that I wish to do is set the correct count for my results. So here I will use count, and for my results I will remove all of these. I will leave just one, and we will loop through our results now. So I will use ng4 here to get all of the results. So let result of results. This way we will generate this bit of HTML for each of our results. And now let's bind it. So first of all, this href here won't be hard-coded like this, but it will be bind to our result. If the result exists, then it will use URL here. And same goes for my href right here. The next thing here, my icon should be visible only, so ng if here, only if the result that is safe. So if the result is safe, then we should see that check circle green icon. And this title example won't be title example anymore, but it will be our result. If it exists, then title. And also this URL here won't be hard-coded like this, but it will be result.url. And finally this P as a description, I can simply remove this long line and I will bind here result.description. And that's pretty much it. So now go into your browser, let's refresh if we need to. Here we can see 0 results. If I search for Kanye right now, search, wait a second, here it is. We do have more than 2000 results here, and it will show just the 10 of those for now. So if I click on one of these, like this one here, it will successfully redirect me to that page as well. So our, well, application works correctly. But yeah, this will be it for this video, to be honest. I also do have 3 challenges here for you. First challenge itself, if I refresh here, we will see that we don't have any data. You can render here some kind of message like there is no data. And when you search and click search icon, you will need to wait for 2 to 3 seconds. What I do wish from you here, maybe you could put some kind of loader in the middle of this results section. If you don't have ideas to create the loader itself, I do have the whole playlist of CSS loading animations. So once the data is loading, you should show that loading animation, and once the data is ready, then you should render your results data. The next challenge here would be obviously pagination. We obviously have more than 2000 results, but we are just showing 10 of those. I do wish that at the end of this page you should integrate some kind of pagination, so it could paginate by the pages, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. For that bit, you can go into my video of APIs with Angular number 3, Pokédex app with Poké API, and there we integrated our pagination. The pagination functionality in that video starts at the timestamp of 27 minutes and 46 seconds. So take a look at that and use it as an example to create your own pagination for your own search engine. And the last thing here is when you go to usearch.com website, go to products and search API. Here in this example you will have different tabs as well. In these tabs you will have you will be able to render all search results, images and news. So try to also integrate these tabs as well. So when you go into the news tab, you will search only for the news. When you go to the all tabs, you will search the whole web. And to help you with that, the USearch WebSearch API has these different endpoints, like to web search, to news search, to trending search, image search as well, and much more. So try to use these calls, well, different API calls, to get different data and render those based on a tab that is currently visible. By this here, you will enhance that search engine that we just created, and that search engine can serve you as your own portfolio project. But yeah guys, this will be all for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw, please click like and subscribe, as I'm posting new content weekly. Thank you once again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.